athletes need nutrition to be able to perform their best. Everyone needs food, right? But as an athlete, you are burning so many more calories, you're doing so much more, you're more active, and you need more food to really make up for that difference. And this is something we weren't taught as cheerleaders. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Cheer Nutritionist YouTube channel. I am so excited to be here today and introduce you to my newest social media platform. I am Ashley, the Cheer Nutritionist. I am a registered dietitian. I am the owner and founder of the Cheer Nutritionist. Right now, we're mostly on Instagram, starting up Facebook, but now we're on YouTube, which I think is going to be great for my audience, for another way for me to connect with you all and to provide nutrition education, some fun videos, and really just talk all things cheer, nutrition, and fitness. A little bit about me. So I was an all-star cheerleader for 10 years. I was born and raised in New Jersey. So I first started with Pop Warner at a very young age. Then I went to a local gym, Comet All-Stars, which doesn't exist anymore. But that was the local gym in my town. There, I worked my way up through the levels. And this was, back in the 2000s, so a long, long time ago. In 2010, I decided to make the switch to World Cup All-Stars. I was on Odyssey for 4 years, the best 4 years of my life, and I was a base, a basket flyer, and a tumbler. That's a little bit about my All-Star history, and I am 4'10". I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this. I wanted to cheer in college, and I realized quickly that I probably wasn't going to be able to base at the college level. So I learned how to co-ed fly, which was so much fun. I learned from two of my coaches, Kenny Woo Wisnowski, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He cheered at Kentucky back in his day, and Rob Ellery, who also cheered at Kentucky. That's really how I learned how to co-ed stunt. Then I went to, a lot of college recruitment clinics and things like that to get more experience stunting with different guys. And then I tried out for the University of South Carolina and made the co-ed team there. So I cheered at the University of South Carolina for 4 years. We cheered football games, basketball games, volleyball games. We also competed at NCAA Nationals in Daytona. And we did a lot of appearances around the state. I was there from 2014 to 2018. So I got to experience a lot of good things. I got to travel with the women's basketball team to the SEC championship my freshman year, and we won. Then I started traveling more with the men's basketball team. And my junior year, we actually made it to the Final Four, which was so exciting. I got to cheer in Madison Square Garden, which was a dream of mine, especially growing up in New Jersey, and now I live in New York. So that was huge for me. I can't even tell you all the memories I had from cheering, but this is all to say, I'm well versed in cheerleading. Also, during my junior year, I was coaching at ACX in South Carolina, and then I also did an all-star team for a few months there, an open team. And that was an experience. I'll probably share my story about all of that with you all. But during this time, I had some nutrition problems, which I'll get into in a later video and share a little bit about my story with disordered eating. But from all those years of cheering, my major takeaway was that there's a major lack of resources when it comes to nutrition for cheerleaders specifically. So when I kind of realized this, I decided to reach out to the sports dietitian at the University of South Carolina, and I interned with her my senior year. And this made all the difference for me. She was a major inspiration to me. She's still one of my mentors today. I keep in touch with her regularly. And she taught me all about nutrition and how athletes need nutrition to be able to perform their best. Everyone needs food, right? But as an athlete, you are burning so many more calories, you're doing so much more, you're more active, and you need more food to really make up for that difference. And this is something we weren't taught as cheerleaders. So this kind of inspired me to go back to school after I graduated with my bachelor's in exercise science for nutrition. So after I graduated in 2018 with a bachelor's in exercise science and a minor in nutrition and food systems that I took on my senior year, I did a year of prerequisites to get into a graduate program for nutrition. So during that gap year, I was taking classes. I also interned as a strength and conditioning coach at Princeton University. And this was a great experience because I, at the time, was the only one who really had an interest in sports nutrition who was working there. They had a dietitian on staff, but she was working with everyone in the college. They didn't have a specific sports dietitian at this point. So I really made a name for myself at this point and made it clear that I wanted to focus on sports nutrition. So I did a lot of nutrition education for those athletes. And then I also was working at Jersey All-Stars in New Jersey, East Brunswick, the one is the location. I was coaching just to stay in the game, I didn't want to fully leave the sport yet. This transition was tough for me, to say the least, to go from cheerleader to, regular person. So I wanted to stay in the game. I got back into coaching. I also worked at Orange Theory and was doing Orange Theory a lot. And this kind of gave me that structure that I got when I was a cheerleader. So that's something I found that I loved. I loved group classes. I loved being coached because I was so used to it from cheerleading. Then I got accepted into Columbia University for a dual master's in nutrition and exercise physiology. And I started in September of 2019. So I moved to New York and I did the 2-year track. So I finished all my classes in 2 years. Obviously, COVID hit after my first semester. So I was virtual for a lot of the classes. But, I stayed in New York and I moved into a studio, which is where I am today, still 3 years later. So I finished my courses in 2 years. I decided to stay at Columbia for my dietetic internship. And during my dietetic internship, that's when I was working on my thesis. My thesis was, a big project to graduate. I came up with lesson plans and did a whole research paper. And when I was trying to think of my topics, I wanted to really do something that I knew a lot about, that I was super interested in, because it's a big project and I knew that if it was something I was interested in, I would put a lot more work into it, if I'm going to be plain honest here. And I wanted to do something, this was my biggest thing, that I could actually use in the future. Yes, this was just a project to graduate and it wasn't something that we had to, actually use necessarily or actually put into practice. But if I thought, if I'm putting all this time and effort into it, why don't I make it something that I can use in the future? And thinking back on, what do I know well? What do I have an experience in? And those two things were cheerleading, my number one passion, and nutrition, which became, my whole world. So during my internship, I really have a focus. It was a rotational internship program, so I wasn't just at one place the whole time. I got to choose a lot of different sites. The two things I told my internship director was, I want experience in sports nutrition and eating disorders, because knowing the cheerleading culture and being a former cheerleader myself, I saw so many people struggle with eating disorders. I struggled with disordered eating myself. And I wanted to be someone that people can look towards for support, for education, for more information, and really, someone to listen to you and understand what you're going through. So that's exactly what I did. I came up with a program for cheerleaders that was, attempting to prevent eating disorders in the sport, but also educating on nutrition and what sports nutrition is and what that looks like for cheerleaders specifically. And that's the key. I made this program specifically for cheerleaders. And, I got great feedback on it. And during my last rotation of my internship, I could pick my preceptor. I had this, it was an elective rotation, and I really got the freedom to choose who I wanted to work with. So I decided to go on a research track. And from my research for my thesis, I found this researcher that was actually out of the University of South Carolina. So I was like, you know what? Why not reach out to her? Because we can relate in some sense. She was doing research on cheerleaders, probably the only studies that were done on cheerleaders ever. And we connected, and now she's my colleague, Dr. Allison Smith. She is awesome. She is an athletic trainer, actually. So we got to really combine our knowledge, and that's what led me to the Cheer Nutritionist. So through that internship, I started, building up the practice, building up my social media a little bit, and really realizing what it takes to build a practice like this, who I have to reach out to, what kind of talks do I have to give, what information are they looking for? And, after that internship ended, I was studying for the RD exam, passed the RD exam in September, and the next week I made this into a business, the Cheer Nutritionist. This is an LLC. And now we are here in February. I'm filming this. And now I have 3 interns. I have connected with cheerleaders, coaches, and parents all over the country. And here I am starting the YouTube channel, I should say, because I want to reach more of you. I know cheerleaders are on YouTube, so I want to be here as well. So what I have planned for the YouTube in general would be, 1, I'm going to do a lot of interviews and podcast type talks, all via YouTube for now. 2, hear about other people's experiences, talk to different people that have maybe different opinions, but also all like-minded individuals, because we're all in the cheer world. So this could be coaches, athletes, parents, choreographers, literally whoever. If you have guest ideas or someone you really want to see, drop their name below. Then I also want to do, short little nutrition education videos. So if you have any ideas of what you want to learn, if you have any specific questions you want to ask, again, drop them in the comments below and I'll try to make some content around that. Also, we'll do short Q&A sessions. Maybe I'll do a live YouTube video one day so that way I can answer questions right on the fly. I also want to do some fun videos. So I plan on doing some old video reviews, maybe some old tumbling reviews, blooper reels, fun stuff like that. Maybe, how I do my hair, how I did my cheer hair, how I did my cheer makeup, all different ideas I've had floating around in my head. So if you have any more ideas or some things you want to see, something you think cheerleaders, coaches, and parents would be interested in seeing on YouTube, drop them below. But otherwise, this video is really just to welcome you to the channel, to introduce myself so you guys can get to know me a little bit better. For now, I am going to be in New York. In a few weeks, I will probably be in Orlando for a good bit. Stay tuned for updates, and I'll have all my links down below. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn your notifications on so you know when I'm posting videos, you get notified. Like, save, share with your friends. And as always, follow me on Instagram at the Cheer Nutritionist. I am so excited for this channel. Stay tuned for more videos. Next week is National Eating Disorder Awareness Week. So that's when we're going to do the full launch. I'm going to introduce you to my interns. You're going to hear my story, my disordered eating story. And we might have a few other guests who are interested in sharing their story or talking about the topic of eating disorders. Look forward to connecting with you all in the future. And that's me signing off.